Alright, we're going to start by taking the cover off the engine. A lot of these covers are brand specific. I don't need the cover serves no purpose really at all. This is the real cover. This is the blower housing. This is shaped this way because under here the flywheel has little blades on it. It's like a fan, and it'll blow air down through the blower housing and over the fins in the engine. It'll blow out the bottom and it'll blow across the head, over the cylinder and across the head to keep it cool. This is our engine. Looks to be complete. The problem with this is it just doesn't run. So I like to check it for spark, but I know I'm already going to do a carburetor swap on it to tune up, hopefully new. This does have the big housing on it, which is good because that's what I ordered. Just on memory, and I was that my memory served me correct. Big air cleaner model. So we're getting a carburetor, hopefully carburetor, air filter, fuel line, fuel filter, spark plug. Should be coming in a kit today. When that comes, I'll put it on. But right now, we're going to take these things off, and I'm going to do as much much as I can by hand, because for me by hand, I have this tool that just has a screwdriver handle on it, and I want to do as much as I can with this. Unless things are too tight or rusty, it's usually rusty. All this can be done with something like this tool that is just a screwdriver handle. I'm going to take the muffler off. That way we have better access to the intake bolts. So what you see here is 2 muffler bolts, 2 intake bolts, and this will come off. We have throttle linkage and a fuel line. We'll have to disconnect the fuel line and this little breather tube and the throttle linkage. But then this can be unbolted. The intake and carburetor can be unbolted off the engine, which is easier. There, muffler's off. No gasket, but it is stamped to fit in this hole. Has a little flange, so it shouldn't need a gasket. A little, not a flange, but like a little taper. Alright, now these are Phillips and a hex. I always want to use the hex if I can, if I have a socket that fits, because the hex is less likely to strip out with how tight some of this stuff can be. And so far it's been easy, but sometimes these things can be stuck pretty good. Alright, intake is off the engine, and I did flip it over to dump water out. I got oil coming out of the intake. I'm not worried about that right now. But now I can take off the carburetor from the intake, but I want to try to disconnect. There's a spring. Bring you in closer now. Carburetor itself. Right there, the spring will come off. And then this throttle linkage, it's just a hook, but it's kind of bound up with this hard tube. I'm hoping a tube like that comes in the tune-up kit, or I can replace that. If not, I think I have a hose here. Alright, let's cut this off so we can take this off, and then we'll pinch off the fuel line. Alright, cut this off. Now you can disconnect throttle, but now let's see if there's gas even in it. Yep. Not bad gas either. I'm not even gonna drain that. Right here. Pinch this off because the fuel filter should go between the tank and the carburetor. So I have plenty of room there for a fuel shutoff or a fuel filter. Alright, now you can take the carburetor off, the intake. And these are through bolted, which is nice, but the problem is You can put a socket on this side where I'm at now, but there's a nut on the back side. You can only really get an open-ended wrench on that. They have lock washers, and usually you don't need a wrench. You just, on both ends, you can just use one. Alright? Alright, that little piece here, this is what the spring was hooked onto. So that was on the inside. The long bolts are muffler bolts. The coarse thread bolts are intake. But then the bolts that are kind of the same size, they're a fine thread, right? They are carburetor. There's a gasket on there. Kit should come with a new one. That's intact. I'll leave that together in case it doesn't. I'll cut that off the fuel line. There's extra here, so I should still have enough. I have to redo the vice grip. And actually, wider jaw, that shuts it off. The other one was too small. Alright. So there we have it. Right, backside, towards the engine, it's all covered in gunk. That doesn't matter. What matters is this bulb here usually goes bad. This one doesn't feel bad. But these usually will leak, and they don't, when you push them in and let off of them, they don't fill with gas. So you're just really just doing nothing. You're pressing it, and it's just air. And like spritzing a little bit of gas. So this one seems okay, but the new carburetor will have a new one. You can buy these separately, but usually it's not worth it unless your thing runs good and this just somehow got hard or got a bigger hole in it. Or feels empty, like it's not sealing. You can buy these. I can get these at Ace Hardware up the road. I should be able to get the air cleaners too. Now that's also a problem. People run their mowers until they don't run. You can't do that to an engine, right? This air filter's crap, right? Gas seems good. I don't know when gas, it might have put fresh gas in it this year and then it didn't run. But yeah, there we go. I could clean this. I will keep it for a little bit. I might clean it and try it out on something else down the road, but for right now, that's just inventory. Now I might need, depending on the kits, I might need this flange for the air cleaner. That's the flange that can change to, I have one back over here, just a circle. And it takes just a cylinder-shaped air cleaner. It's the same carburetor. You can take this off, put the round one on. But this housing, this is this air cleaner. So that should be what the kit comes with. So I do want to get that off. All right, looks like they're small. 1/4 inch. Nope. Socket won't get to it. It's also a Phillips. But there we go. So, keep these, everything off to the side here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to keep this gasket. So that is going behind, behind this. There's a little O-ring. And it does have a little raised portion of the camera is going to focus on that. This raised part that sticks up, that should face the carburetor. Alright, we have this, and it's screws, tools. Just use cutters to cut the fuel line and the vacuum or the breather hose. Ratchet I didn't really need. I needed this smaller socket to get into the cover that's broken. I'm not going to use that again. So really I only needed these things. I don't need to pull the cover off for this. I wanted to pull the cover off because it was broken. But this, we used 1/4 inch, I think 7/16. That was it. On taking it apart, carburetor, sorry, 3/8 of an inch and 1/4 inch. and 7/16 between the intake, the carburetor, and the muffler. Then the parts, the intake, we're keeping the intake and the muffler, keeping the air filter for now, just so we can buy one and reference it if we don't have one in the kit. Bolts for the carburetor, adapter for the air filter, and cover for the air filter. I have the old carburetor. I'll hang on to this, but again, I'm not going to do anything with it and clean it right now. It's just going to go back in stock. All right, but that's it for now. Waiting for the tune-up kit to come in the mail. All right, so the parts came today, just here this afternoon, and what comes in the kit, remember I said it was a tune-up kit. We have a new air filter, a new carburetor, a fuel filter, the gasket for the carburetor, a new primer bulb, which I could use on a different carburetor or in the old one, and a new spark plug, and then this little retaining washer. This is just for the primer bulb. Right, this. Let's put the air cleaner adapter on the carburetor. Remember, this had an O-ring. There you go. This should persist. Come on now. There you go. Alright, so we got that air filter adapter on. There we go. And then this comes with a gasket. This already had a gasket on it. I will switch them since we have the new one. Got the little flange back on, or not a little flange, a little bracket with the spring hooks too. And this can't leak because if it sucks in air after the carburetor, it'll throw off the air-fuel ratio and it'll suck in extra air. And it won't run, or it'll run rough. Alright, now what can hook up? Well, we're going to hold off on that. Let's do fuel line. Cut this off. And add a fuel filter. Now we got new clamps. I'll get clamps. Alright, now the governor and throttle. You can hook that spring back up. Alright, we can take these bolts out here. This one's nice, it has a heat shield. They don't all have this. They put this engine on a lot of things, but it's different versions. Sometimes I unhook these, just pinch them off because there's so much blow by that it'll get a lot of oil, like smoky, oily vapor stuff that gets into the carburetor and oils up the air filter and makes it not run as good. So I'll connect that after I know that it runs and this doesn't vent off gases. If this is actively chooching, like looks like steam coming out constantly, then I'm not going to hook that up. get on that. So that wouldn't run. That's, the gap is shut. Now it's just shut with oil, but we're not going to trust that. That could be cleaned and used though in a pinch. It's better, especially if one got broken. Alright, but we have a new one. So right there, J19. Hold it back together. So, let's see if it runs. Take a little while for that to start actually working, getting gas in the bulb, but let's try it out. So that was hard to pull. Very hard to pull. Either the timing is way off or slightly hydrolocked. Yeah, there's oil in there for sure. Alright, so it runs good. We burned the oil off that was inside it. It didn't seem to smoke after we fired it up again, so it runs good. Right there, this little tab that springs hooked to. If you bend that a little bit, you can adjust the full throttle position. Since this just fires up and runs full throttle. Now, problem is the self-propel worked for a minute and then it disconnected. I kind of forced it. So let's see what I'm hooked. Alright, I wanted to show you here before we're done what was used for the carburetor and tune-up. Vice grips pinched off the fuel line. This socket, 13/16 got the spark plug out. 7/16 helped get the carburetor off, but this set of sockets here, the little screwdriver tool, I was able to use, what, 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 7/16 out of this, but I did need a wrench. This also helped with the self-propelled cable. I didn't show that really in the video, but I took a throttle cable from something else. I just had a new throttle cable, and it's the same type of, I threw the piece away, but it's the same type of spiral, whatever, the outside of the cable is a metal spiral with black plastic coating on it. The one I put on doesn't have a black plastic coating, but it's a new cable. And flathead and the small vice grips I used when I was doing that, along with the cutters and needle nose, that helped kind of get that wire situated. I put it on slightly different than it was from the factory because I couldn't use the ends that it came with, but it works. We do have a new primer bulb from the kit. I'll keep a spark plug. I'll keep just as a placeholder. An air filter, that's junk. That's really bad. And then the carburetor, right? So I'll put all this in a Tecumseh box for another day. done? Is it time to mow? Is it time to mow or is it time to eat?